My name is Randall Eggert. This class is Grammar and Stylistics. It's about writing clearly.
Pronoun case. This is the first of two videos that I'm doing on case in English. We'll start with this chart. So this first one is primarily just to get us the terminology so that we're all on the same page in terms of what pronouns belong in which category. Now, this chart may look a little daunting, but I just want to assure you that English case is actually quite simple compared to case in other languages. Hungarian, for example, arguably has well over 20 cases. English really only has 3. There's subjective, or as linguists like to call it, nominative, objective, or as linguists like to call it, accusative, and then possessive, or as linguists call it, genitive. I've got 2 columns for the genitive, and we'll talk about why. Then the other side of that is getting at the person and number. So first refers to first person. That is including the sender, so either the speaker or the writer. Second person refers to the recipient, the addressee. So in this case, either the hearer or the reader. And then third person is everybody and everything else, everything that's not first person or second person. Okay, then we've got singular and plural, SG for singular, PL for plural. And then with the third person singulars, we also distinguish gender. So we have feminine, masculine, and neuter in English. And then finally, we have relative interrogative. So here's the table filled out. Our subjective, that is to say, the pronouns that we use to be the subject of a clause. So for those, we have I in the first singular, and then you, she, he, it, we, you, they, who. For objective or accusative, that's for the object of a verb or a preposition. So there we have me, you, her, him, it, us, you, them, and whom. That's where whom comes in. It's an object of a verb or a preposition. I know it's kind of a hard one, and in the second video, I'm going to be talking about how we know when to use who or whom. Most of the others, I think, we're pretty good at knowing how to use, except in some very isolated situations. Then we've got possessives. We've got my, your, her, his, its, our, your, their, whose, versus the other possessives or genitives, mine, yours, hers, his, its, ours, yours, theirs, and whose. Notice there's a lot of overlap in this chart, what linguists call neutralization. So for example, the you singular and you plural are indistinguishable in modern day English, contemporary English. That wasn't, of course, always the case. It used to be that the you that we see there was a plural form, and we also had ye. So we had ye and you. Ye was the subjective form, you was the objective form. The two merged, and we have a neutralization there. Likewise, we used to have a singular. We had thou and thee, thou being the subjective, and thee being the objective. Those also merged so that we just have you in all of those positions. We also see some mergers with, for example, it not having any difference between subject and object forms. And then, of course, we see some mergers in the 2 possessive columns. Now, I think you can figure out for yourself what the difference between those 2 columns is, but it's quite simply just a part of speech difference. The first column, the my, your, her column, those are articles or determiners. And the possessive column, mine, yours, hers, those are noun phrase substitutes. So they stand in for an entire noun phrase, whereas my, your, her stand in for a possessive when it's acting as an article, or as linguists like to call them, determiners. Okay, so given that, now at least we've got our terminology straight and we'll be ready for the next video.